Good morning, and congratulations, Ed, to you on this new gig.
I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you a lot in the days ahead. Please react to Senator Schumer basically saying there's a cloud over this trial as it starts.
Yeah, I wonder where Chuck Schumer was when you saw the most unfair impeachment trial in the history of our country happen in the House, where Speaker Pelosi rammed this thing through. They literally broke House rules that require that the minority get a day of hearing so that we could have actually brought the witnesses that we asked for and were denied by Speaker Pelosi and Adam Schiff. So they did not run a fair trial. And I think what you saw Chuck Schumer say, too, was he's acknowledging that the House did not have a fair trial. The fact that they need to do something differently in the Senate. By the way, it's not the Senate's role to mop up the mess that the House made when Speaker Pelosi rammed this thing through. So they did not have a fair trial in the House. They're having a fair trial in the Senate. They're actually following the rules that they have. They're using the precedent that was set by previous impeachments. That did not happen in the House. They didn't make a case because the president did not commit a crime. The crime they alleged never happened, yet they impeached him anyway to appease their radical political base. Let's get beyond this. Let's start dealing with real issues that people care about. The voters will decide the presidency in November.
And one of those Democrats running for the presidency is Joe Biden. He was on MSNBC this morning. Here's what he said about your Republican colleagues.
I think it's one of those things that they're going to regret when their grandchildren read in the history books what they did. I have a great respect and reverence for the Senate, for real. And I was embarrassed for the institution.
He was talking about the Senate, but he seems to be suggesting by extension you and other Republican leaders are going to be embarrassed in the next generation.
Well, I think the real embarrassment is the fact that he's admitted already publicly. You can see it on TV. He admitted that he went to Ukraine and did the quid pro quo. He's the one who said, hey, I'm leaving with the $1 billion. By the way, I had the $1 billion of our taxpayer money unless you fire the prosecutor who was investigating his son. And lo and behold, they did, and they did fire the prosecutor, and he bragged about that. He's going to have to answer to that. I know he gets a free pass when he's running in the Democrat primary, but voters aren't going to forget the fact that he literally said, if you don't fire the guy who's investigating my son, I'm going to take the taxpayer money. They did not help Ukraine. Whoa. Obama and Biden did not help Ukraine stand up to Russia. President Trump has, by the way. He sold them Javelin missiles to stand up to Russia. He gave them the aid, by the way, that's in question. They got the money. They didn't do the investigation. There should not have been an impeachment in the House. The fact that you saw Schiff and his Democrat colleagues get chided by the Supreme Court justice, that's the embarrassment. The fact that they went on the Senate floor and embarrassed themselves.
You said a moment ago Hunter Biden should not get a free pass for his role in Ukraine, the money he received from Burisma, and all of that. There are some Senate Democrats now, and Ben Cardin just in the last hour told us, Sandra and I, that he's open the idea of Hunter Biden coming in for testimony. But would you be willing to see your Republican colleagues do that in some sort of a swap, where in exchange for John Bolton or Mick Mulvaney inside the White House testifying at this trial, you would finally get to hear from Hunter Biden and make sure he doesn't get a free pass?
Well, that's ultimately up to the Senate to figure out if they want to bring in more witnesses and if they need to. But in the House, we tried to do that. We asked for that. The Democrats got to bring all of their witnesses. They did tryouts. In fact, Schiff, behind closed doors, you saw it for months. He had these secret meetings where they literally had tryouts to see who would be their best star witnesses to bring out on TV. Every one of them, by the way, flopped. Every one of their star witnesses was asked under oath in the House, can you name an impeachable offense? Not one of them could name anything, and yet that's the case they had. It was a weak case, and so now they want to try to mop up that mess in the Senate, but that's not the Senate's job. The Senate's job is to take what the House did, as bad as it was, and then vote on it.
All right,
after this trial. They're having the trial.
House Minority Whip Steve Scalise wanted to make sure to give you equal time after Chuck Schumer had his say. But I also want to give equal time to my colleague Sandra Smith here, because I'd be remiss not to say,
Sandra,
congratulations
we're
to
still
the
bouncing
LSU
off the
Tigers.
walls, Sandra.